Welcome everybody back to the Yeah What Of It podcast, where we usually ask the silly questions that no one else wants to ask. But today we're doing something a bit different. My name is Harry, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts.
Ian.
Hey.
Today's episode is a very special one. It's part of the Podcasthon 2026, a global podcast charity event taking place this March.
Podcasthon takes place from March 14th to 20th. Podcasts of all shapes and sizes are releasing special episodes to highlight charities and causes that matter. We decided to dedicate our episode to a charity that's very close to the hearts of this podcast, the Huntington's Disease Association.
So in this episode, we'll talk about what Huntington's disease is, how it affects people, who the Huntington's Disease Association are, and how you can support them. We'll also be sharing some personal reflections and break down some key medical and social aspects of this condition.
What is Podcastathon? For anyone tuning in who hasn't heard of it before, Podcastathon is a week-long event created for podcasts to shine a spotlight on non-profits and causes across the world.
Every participating podcast releases a charity episode during the same week. The idea is to create a collective wave of awareness, information and support. There is a huge list of participating charities to choose from, and if a charity you specifically want to support isn't on there, reach out to that charity and ask them about to sign up. It's super easy to sign up for both podcasters and charities, and the best part is it's completely free.
One of the coolest parts of Podcastathon is that it doesn't matter how big your show is. You can take part no matter what. So small podcasts like yours truly can make a difference here and there by just talking about our chosen cause and charity, or your chosen cause and charity.
Listeners really are the driving force behind this charity event, so thank you for tuning in, and please stick around till the end. And if you've never listened to us before, go check out some of the other episodes and feel free to subscribe.
Whether you donate, spread the word, or just learn something new, you're helping. So thank you to everyone listening right now.
All right, next topic, Huntington's disease. What is it? Can it affect me? I've never heard of this, so it doesn't matter, right? Wrong. It's a genetic neurological condition, which means it comes from a defect in a person's DNA that affects the nervous system.
Here's a way to think about it. Your nervous system is like your body's control center. It's constantly sending out signals that make your muscles move, your thoughts happen, your emotions respond. When that system is disrupted, life can become very complicated.
With Huntington's, the brain's movement, thinking and behavioural circuits gradually break down. People might start experiencing unusual movements along with challenges in planning, memory coordination and mood changes.
Those movement symptoms can look like jerky, uncontrolled motions, and as the condition progresses, everyday tasks like walking, talking, and even swallowing can become extremely difficult.
What really sets Huntington's apart from other neurological conditions is that it's inherited, so it's passed down from the family. If a parent has got the gene, there's a 50% chance their child will inherit it too.
That, of course, creates unique emotional challenges. So people who haven't even developed symptoms yet might live with the knowledge that they carry the gene, and that waiting, that uncertainty can be almost as heavy as knowing you have the disease itself. One of the biggest questions people with Huntington's will often ask is there a cure? Huntington's disease has long been considered incurable because it's rooted in a genetic mutation that causes brain cells to break down over time. But in recent years, some of the most exciting and hopeful research in neurology has been happening in regards to Huntington's disease. Scientists are getting closer to treatments that could slow, modify, or, fingers crossed, one day prevent the disease's progression. And that's pretty incredible, considering how long Huntington's has resisted any effective therapies.
Yes, that's one of the biggest breakthroughs came in 2025 when researchers reported results of a gene therapy called AMT-130. In early trials, people treated with this experimental therapy showed around 75% slower disease progression over the 3 years compared to people who weren't treated, something that has never been seen before. That kind of slowing could mean years more quality life, independence, and function for individuals and families impacted by Huntington's.
This gene therapy isn't a cure yet, and it's still going through the process of approval, but researchers have described it as a game changer because it targets the disease itself instead of just reducing symptoms.
What's especially great is that this approach uses gene-based technology to turn off or reduce the production of the faulty Huntington protein that actually causes the disease. That means it's targeting the root of the problem, not just the effects that come along downstream.
And that's just one avenue. There are new grants and research programs under the way. For example, scientists have received funding to develop small molecular drugs designed to shrink the harmful genetic repeat that causes Huntington's.
There's also work being planned for stem cell therapies, where healthy neural stem cells are used to potentially replace or protect damaged brain cells. A major grant has just been given to support the launch of the first human stem cell trial for Huntington's in 2026.
We should always be honest, and none of these are a guaranteed cure yet. There are still clinical trials to complete, safety things to assess, and approvals to secure before these therapies can become widely available. But for a disease that traditionally had no way to slow progression, this is a huge leap forwards.
Researchers around the world, from universities to biotech companies to non-profits, are working collaboratively towards the same goal: meaningful treatments that change the experience of Huntington's. Their work gives hopes to families who lived with this condition for generations.
That's why supporting organisations like the Huntington's Disease Association matters, not just for patient services today, but for a future where better treatments and maybe even cures become a reality.
So let's talk about the charity we're supporting, the Huntington Disease Association. They're a UK charity that provides information, support, and services for people and families affected by Huntington's.
Most importantly, they're there at every stage of the journey, from diagnosis, testing, to community support and care planning.
They offer specialist advisors, support groups, helplines, and practical tools for living with Huntington's. That kind of resource can be life-changing for people who are feeling isolated or overwhelmed.
They also work with healthcare professionals and policymakers to improve Huntington's care, because awareness and training can make a real difference in how families are supported.
There's also a big focus on community, helping people connect so they don't feel alone in the experience.
What they offer and what they do is really, really great. And if you want to support the Huntington's Disease Association, there are a few ways that you can get involved today.
First, learn more. Until it affected one of us, we had no idea what this was. Learning more is the first big step.
Secondly, if you can, consider making a donation. Every donation, big or small, helps fund vital support services.
You can also get involved in some fundraising, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Of course, in terms of donations, fundraising, all links to that will be in the episode description, so you can follow up nice and easy.
And even if you can't donate right now, sharing this episode, following the HDA on socials, or sharing other Huntington's resources is really helpful.
Yeah, okay, so believe it or not, for the listeners, that was scripted. And this bit is also scripted, but I'm going to just reball it, I think. So, yeah, believe it or not, the one this is affecting is me. But, yeah, I thought I'd just close this out with some personal experiences of mine. Now, as we mentioned earlier, some people were taught this in school. I have no memory of this being taught at school. I don't know about you guys, but I have no memory at all of this being taught in school. But we have like a mutual family friend that's a teacher, and apparently they do teach it. So I was clearly not paying attention. So I'd never heard of this, and I had a relative pass away. And during the process somewhere, not 100% sure where, but doctors told us that the relative that had passed away had Huntington's disease. Obviously, it's kind of like a weird thing, because your relative's dead. This is very sad. And then you go, oh, that's so sad that she had Huntington's as well. Oh, that's horrible. But what is it? That's the sort of thing you go, well, what does that mean? So you go away, you Google it, which is always the best thing to do with an illness. And then you are just slapped with like pages and pages and pages of information that's either just pure medical fact or almost dramatized, I guess. I don't know, is that a word?
Dramatized.
That's the one, dramatized. Because that's what sells on Google, and that's why you should never Google things. But I think, we found that out, and you do your own research. And for me personally, it was the sort of thing of, oh, well, there's no cure, especially at the time when I sort of was learning about this. There's no real anything for it. But I'll be fine, And then I shoved my head in the sand, and I didn't talk about it for a really long time. And that's not healthy, in my opinion. And it wasn't healthy for me. There was a lot of compartmentalizing. And it all sort of built up and spilled over. And it was a very, very stressful time. My lovely wife was very, very supportive through it. And obviously she still is today. And that was a major, major help. But that sort of leads into another one of the issues with Huntington's, is that for some reason or another, I'm not really sure why, it's sort of a taboo thing. And when we went and spoke to a geneticist about it, she said that that was the case, and doctors don't really know why, but there's a sort of like a clear pattern of if it comes up in the family, they don't tend to talk about it or address it or anything else. But what's so strange is that it's not your fault you have it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you've gone out and done something to intentionally harm yourself and now you're suffering because of it. It's just one of those things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just... But for some reason, people treat it as though, oh, can't talk about that. But I personally don't quite understand why. And it's why there's a lot of campaigns with Huntington's at the moment where the sort of major leading factor is just talk about it. There's no taboo reason. Don't get me wrong, it's not very nice. And I wouldn't walk up to someone in a bar and say, oh, hiya, yeah, I'm at risk of Huntington's. You're not going to do that. But talking about it within your family, talking about it with your friends, etc., it's probably the best thing to do. And I think it's one of those things that's kind of like awkward to bring up. If someone comes up to you and says, oh, I'm at risk of this thing, especially as British people, it's quite easy to go, oh, no, that sucks.
Suck it up. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, suck it up, carry on, stiff upper lip and all that. Or the other thing is, especially for me, is, oh, well, you're all right. And it's like, well, yeah, right now.
Now I am.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
now I'm fine.
Give me, a couple of years and things might change. But that's a very difficult conversation to have.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to have it. I mean, it's not a conversation I want to be having in the first place, but it's better to talk about it. I'm just rambling about that thing now, but it's difficult. And then obviously my wife and I want children, and we had a lot of very, very, very frank conversations about it, and I made the decision to not find out if I have it. Now, you can get tested to find out if you have it, but this is just for me personally. My thinking was, if I find out that I've got it and there's no cure, I know myself quite well, and I feel like any time that I messed up my words, or I fell over, or I dropped something, or I was overtired, my brain would instinctively go, oh, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of Huntington's. You've got it. This is how it starts, blah, blah, blah. You've only got X amount of years left. So I decided not to find out. And then I suppose it's like, in The Matrix when they say ignorance is bliss?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. And I think if they turned around and said, oh, we've got this cure, have this procedure, have this, I don't know, pills, I would probably find out then, because there's something to be done about it, which is so great that all this research is being done now, and they're having some really, 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 really successful outcomes, which is great. But as we said before, if I did have it, there would be a 50% chance of me passing it down to my child, and obviously I didn't want to do that. I don't want to put anyone else through it. I want to cut it off as much as I can, So we went and spoke to a geneticist, and they are able to, through IVF, ensure that our child will not have Huntington's. And then, it was really, really reassuring. It wasn't a nice process, and we're still going through it, and it's not a nice process. And it'll be very hard, it'll be very difficult, but there's a bit more hope at the end of the tunnel, I guess. So if you are thinking about children and Huntington's does affect you, there are options. So keep a hold of that and go speak to a doctor, a GP, a geneticist, and just talk it through. Yeah, again, it's coming back to this talking thing of just you're not going to get anywhere or make progress unless you just actually talk about it. But yeah, the life expectancy for someone with Huntington's disease is about 15 to 20 years from the start of symptoms, which isn't great. It obviously varies hugely between people and different cases and everything else. But go when you're Googling it and you find that out, and especially if you get Google AI that just turns around and goes, oh yeah, you got 5 years left. It's like, oh my god, what the which is why you have to do all your research and make sure you talk to medical professionals or go to organizations like HDA who are professional. They've done it for years and years and years. They've got all the resources. They've got support networks. Make sure you do your research properly and not just a quick Google. Yeah, I think the best thing I saw recently was that I want to say it was in September of last year, they did a new procedure where it was a 12 to 18 hour brain surgery, right? But I won't go into the ins and outs of it now because this is supposed to be just a kind of easy listening podcast. It's effectively a cure, or it's looking like it's going to be a cure, or at least extremely effective at neutralizing Huntington's disease, which is great. And it's just a lot of waiting around, if I'm being totally honest. I think it's almost harder when they're making so much progress because you're checking the news every month, being like, oh, have they done it yet? Because you know they're so close to doing it. And there's loads of different businesses trying to sort of crack it. It's difficult, but I think everyone's getting there. We're all getting there. And yeah, obviously it's just one of those things that, for me personally, randomly affects me day in, day out. Like there'll be days or weeks where I don't think about it. And then something will happen. I'll trip, I'll stub my toe, I'll drop something, I'll mess up my words. And then in the back of my mind, it's like, could that be it? But it's just learning how to live with it, speaking about it with your loved ones. And just sort of learning to crack on, but in the right way. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can live with something and it's shit, and it's affecting those around you, and it might affect you, and that's horrible. But for me personally, I think it would have been easy to wallow in it and come up with excuses and be miserable and scared all the time and everything else. And there are days where I'm miserable and I am scared and everything else. But, if time, touch wood, it's not, but if time was limited, me personally, I wouldn't want to look back and say, I wasted all that time sitting around for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the end of one of those, like, feel-good movies where it's like, life is for living. Don't waste your time. But, it's kind of got a point when it comes to this. I can't talk about my personal experience without saying that, I've got my wife, who has been absolutely amazing through this entire process. We were actually together when we first got the call that my relative had passed away, and she'd had Huntington's, and we did a lot of research, and obviously we've been to geneticists together, and she's been supportive and just absolutely amazing through everything for the past 7-8 years. And it's obviously a struggle for her too. This is affecting her, and if I did have it and I got the symptoms, she would have to decide how to deal with that. And we've had a lot of tears, we've had a lot of stressful conversations, but then you also go out and celebrate when there are advances. When this brain surgery thing came out, we went up Blue Monkey and I got myself a crunchy stout, and I was like, this is great, this is amazing. And obviously there's nothing I can ever say or do to thank her for all the support and love she's shown me over the years. And that's my rambling over. We can continue with the script.
I thought that was the end of it.
No. You both
got this. You. Harry rambles a little bit more, then there's me, then there's Harry.
Yeah. Oh, right. Then me,
then you.
So, thank you for joining us on this Podcastathon 2026 special on What of It? I know it was a bit of a different one today. Not so many shits and giggles as usual, but it's important because we wanted to get involved.
If you are looking for a meaningful way to support people affected by Huntington's disease, the Huntington's Disease Association's Find an Event page is a fantastic place to start. It highlights the wide range of fundraising and challenge events happening throughout the year that anyone can take part in. They've got marathons, they've got ultra challenges, charity runs, cycling adventures, and then there's virtual activities, and then you can also just do a bake sale or send an email around your work saying, I'm raising money for this, feel free to donate. There's loads of options. So whether you're smashing personal goals on a marathon, climbing Snowdon, or like I said, just baking a load of cakes. Each event will give you an opportunity to help make a real difference to people's lives. So yeah.
We'll be back soon with our regular episodes, but for now, subscribe to us wherever you get great podcasts. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Yeah What of It Podcast, and search Yeah What of It Podcast on YouTube to listen to us there. Follow Podcastathon on socials at podcastathon_en and go check it out.
Thanks to everyone who's listened and showed up for this episode. Yeah, like Keaton said, this has been a really, really different one for us, but we appreciate you making it through to now. You've been listening to the Yeah What of It podcast, and we will catch you next time. It does. I'm going to take that again.